Hello, my lovely friend. Look at the colour of these tomatoes. They are just so beautiful and red. I get so excited when I've got some lovely fresh produce like this because not only do I know that it's healthy for us and it's going to be beautiful and tasty, but I know that it's been on such a good special that I couldn't help but get a good 3 kilos of these beauties to make my delicious tomato sauce. Now, don't worry if you think, oh, I don't have time to make a tomato sauce. It's too intricate. I don't want to be peeling tomatoes. Neither do I. I don't have time for intricate things either. I'm not going to be peeling these. Yeah, it's going to save us time not to peel them, but also the great thing is we're going to get 4 times the lycopene out of these beauties, which is so good for protecting our skin and enhancing our health. So we have got tomatoes, which we're just going to go rip off the tops there and pop them on our cooking tray. Easy peasy. We've also got some onions, which I'm going to chop up, and we've got some garlic. These are like garlic cloves. Each one is a clove. You can use any kind of garlic that you've got on hand. And my secret ingredient, don't tell anybody, is a little bit of pumpkin. Now, this is not a pumpkin tomato sauce. It is just literally a tomato sauce. You wouldn't know the pumpkins in there. We don't want to know the pumpkins in there. But the secret to it is that it is going to make it rich, creamy, decadent, and really kind of fill out our sauce, which is what we want. So let me show you exactly what I'm doing. I am just popping all of my tomatoes onto here. We're not even going to cut them. That's how easy it's going to be. I've just washed them and that's it. That's easy. I'm going to chop up a little bit of this pumpkin. We've got some garlic cloves going in here, just like that. We're not even going to chop those. I'm going to take the skin off the onions, pop them in here. While I cut my pumpkin up, I want you just to look away because nobody needs to see how haphazardly I chop up this pumpkin. But let's leave the skin on it and roast it like that because it's going to make it so much easier for us. So leaving the skin on the pumpkin made it so much easier for me. I whipped through that pumpkin super easy, and I've just put the seeds over here to feed to the animals later. I'm going to go and add my chopped onions in here as well. I've got about 2 onions, 3 kilos of tomatoes, and about 400 grams of pumpkin. Like I said, we don't want too much pumpkin because we don't want it to be a pumpkin tomato sauce. Just going to give my tomatoes a prick, make sure nobody missed out. And then a nice drizzle of, I've got some light olive oil, not too much, just enough so nothing's going to burn. A couple of good lugs of oil there. And then I've got, you could use normal salt, but I've got our salt we made the other day, which has got a little bit of garlic in it, and it's got some of those lovely herbs out of the garden. And that is going to be the base of our sauce. Super easy, so delicious. When we come back from this roasting in the oven at about 200 degrees Celsius, I'm going to show you what I do next. There's another little secret that I do because tomatoes are full of water. I think they're about 95% water. So if you cook these up like this, it's going to be a little bit watery. So I'm going to show you what we're going to do to make it so easy so that we don't have to reduce it down. So let's get these in the oven. About 45 minutes I left this in the oven. Look at this. These colors, these smells, the tomato, the sweetness of the pumpkin coming through, the onions, the garlic. It is gorgeous. If you wanted to add some herbs in here, go for it. Make this your own. I always say, use what you have on hand with my recipes. Make it your own signature tomato sauce. This is going to be perfect for pasta, for pizza, whatever. We're going to be using it all the time. I've got my jars ready. I've got my blender here. Now, what is this over here, you might be wondering? This is my new pot that I picked up in town when we went yesterday. My nice big pot. If you watched, what did we make last? If you watched my video on apples, where we did preserves of apple sauce and apple crumbles with pear, I didn't have a pot big enough. So I ended up having my large, my medium, and my small all going, and it was a little bit chaotic. So I said, I'm going to go and get a pot. We are not going to be using this pot for cooking today because we're not going to be reducing this. It's got lots and lots of water in it. If you can see it all sort of sitting there, that doesn't matter because it's all going to go in the pot. We're not going to reduce it, but what we're going to do is we are going to add some of this good quality. I mean, it's super cheap, but it's good quality because it's only got tomato paste in it. So it's only got tomatoes and a little bit of salt. So I'm going to pop that open. And now I'm going to get everything going in this pot. You might be thinking, Jamie, look, your pumpkin still has skin on it. That's not okay. You should take it off. But we don't need to. You can if you want to. But the thing is, the pumpkin skin is so fibrous. It's full of fiber. The tomato skin is full of fiber and nutrients as well. So we're just going to leave it all on there and we're going to blend it up beautifully. And nobody at your house is going to pick out any pumpkin skin. I promise it's going to be okay. It's going to make things so much easier for us. You could take the pumpkin skin off, like I said, but just let's not, you know, I don't often do that. So we're going to fill this up. And also in here, we have got, look at that, our garlic. And when you roast it in its skin, it goes so nice and sweet and it's just going to pop out like that. So straight in it goes, easy peasy. There's another one. Here it is. Look, golden and beautiful and sweet. Still a little bit warm, a little tiny burny on the fingers because I haven't let this cool long enough because I couldn't wait to show you how delicious it all looked. But never mind. That's the thing in home cooking, isn't it? You end up getting like tougher hands. You can deal with things like that. But if not, just let it cool that little bit longer. Okay, we've got the last of the garlic going in here. It's kind of fun to open these up and to squish them out. And if this is your first time joining me, I so love having you here. Thank you so much. I am Jamie, and on our 1.5 acres in New Zealand, we love nutrient-dense, healthy meals that are so simple. That is the joy of home cooking, making food like this that is nutrient dense, but it's so easy. Now, look at all this moisture in here that has come out of our tomatoes. We're not going to throw that away. We want that. Usually you would put it in a pot and you would reduce it, but we're not going to do that. We're going to keep that all in there. Just going to get rid of this pan. I gave my hands a bit of a wash too because they were a little bit sticky. So in here we have all our glorious things going on in there. And to this we are simply going to add our tomato paste. This is going to thicken it beautifully and it's going to give it more of that concentrated flavor. Like I said, if you just cook tomatoes up by themselves, although absolutely delicious, they're not concentrated. So you're going to get a watery sauce that's not full of flavor. We're adding a nice tomato paste like this is going to thicken it up so well. And the pumpkin helps to thicken it as well and sweeten it. When we were raising our children, they were 2 and 4, and they started to get, you know, all those kind of childhood infections, ear infections, chest infections, antibiotic cycle. We ended up going on a diet called the GAPS diet, and GAPS is gut and psychology. So I'm going to add another one of these in as well. Maybe we'll do a half. Let's see if I can. Whoops, I couldn't get this jar open, so of course I had to run and go and find my husband, and he just popped it open just like that. Aren't husbands good like that? So I'm going to put another half in here so that we can sort of blend it up and taste it and make sure that, you know, 700 grams is a good amount of paste to be going in there. So let's not add any more. But when my children were little, they started to get all these things and they were on the antibiotic cycle. So what we did is with this amazing diet called the GAPS diet, we healed their tummies. And of course, we did this as well so that we were supporting the children. And they never had antibiotics since. no more doctor's visits, super, super healthy. And part of it was eating foods like this, tomatoes in their whole form, pumpkins in their whole form. And what happened was, without any sugar in our diet, we ended up eating pumpkin and we were blown away by how sweet it was. Roasted pumpkin became kind of like eating lumps of sugar. It was that sweet and beautiful. So the pumpkin is going to add a thickness, but also a beautiful sweetness to our sauce. So now that it's all in here, I'm going to give it a good little mix up, and then we're going to get it into our blender. So roughly mixed and super, super chunky, and wow, the smells are incredible. I think that we're gonna now just go ahead and blend this up. We can add salt later. I don't really want to add any more salt just yet. Of course, tomatoes love salt, so we can add some soon. And today I've managed to get a bit of an extension cord. I hope that it's all plugged in and turned on for my blender, because normally I have to say, my friend, I have to say, I'm just going to go and whiz this, and I run around the back and then I come back with it. But I thought it would be really good if I could have it right here with me. Yeah, it's going to turn on, so we're going to be all good. Look at this sauce. So like I said, you can add any kind of herbs that you want. Sometimes I add herbs, but I want to just keep this a nice, thick garlic sauce that I can add herbs in with whatever I'm cooking. Maybe I'm going to be doing a spaghetti bolognese, so I can go ahead and I can add some, garden herbs with that. Or maybe I'm going to be doing a pizza and I just want it like this. I don't want to add any herbs in. So it's going to make it nice and versatile. My goodness, what am I doing here? Okay, I haven't used this very much. I have to click the top. We got there in the end. Perfect. Right, let's give it a blitz. If you want a chunky sauce, obviously just don't blitz it as much as I am, but I want a nice, basically smooth sauce. Oh wow, look at that. That looks so good. I love the color. I'm not too sure if you can see the color in this, but it's pretty amazing. Okay, we're going to have a little taste. Wow. It's just like a burst of flavor. The tomatoes just still taste juicy. You wouldn't know that there was pumpkin in there. It's not like a pumpkin tomato sauce. So much flavor. I am going to go ahead and I'm going to add probably a half a teaspoon of salt. This is the good thing about doing the salt at the end. I think it was Jamie Oliver I watched once. Well, I've watched him a bazillion times, but I watched and he said, I think it was him, salt and season at the end so that you've got it absolutely perfect. So I'm going to give it one more blitz and then we can put it into the jars. Right, let's make sure that this sauce is absolutely perfect. I've got a clean spoon, don't worry, I'm not double dipping. Just a little bit. That is perfect. That is so, so good. I really wish you could taste this. It's just amazing. I love it. Like I said, this kind of cooking, this kind of preserving things just brings me so much joy. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to fill my jars. I'm not going to can these. I'm going to freeze most of these, put some in the fridge because we'll be using them in the next few days. But basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to freeze them. And so that we don't get smashed jars, we want to make sure that we've got, I think the rule is about 2 centimeters at the top, but I always leave a little bit more than that. Never had a smashed jar. Look how lovely and thick this is. Look at that. That is gorgeous. So I'm just going to fill to about there. You could put yours into freezer bags, small, medium, large, so that you've always got this on hand. Small is quite good because I can take one out when we're doing pizza, and imagine this beautiful thick sauce on pizza. It brings all the flavors of everything alive. And of course, I've got a little bit left in the bottom here, but that doesn't matter. That can just blend in with the rest. Put our blade back in there. and then we'll blend up again. And now I know, because I've tasted, that about a half a teaspoon of salt is perfect. If you like more salt, add more salt. If you like, more onion, less onion, then, just make it your own. And the other thing that I put in here sometimes when I'm making this sauce, which levels it up completely as well, is we call them capsicum. In America, overseas, they're called bell peppers. If you put some bell peppers in here, wow, that is such a beautiful sweet. Changes the flavor completely. I want to make sure that I'm getting every last drop of what is in the bottom of this pot. So a good thing about mixing it in a big pot is that your sauce is going to be pretty even in its flavors. And like I said, go ahead and can it if you want to. That's perfectly fine. Just so completely quick and easy. That is like, that's got to be the quickest tomato sauce, from scratch that we can possibly make. I've also got these two bigger containers here. I love to freeze and reuse these containers because they're going to do a little bit more in these, and I can take it out when I'm going to do my lasagna, when I'm going to do like a big pizza cooking day when I do all the pizzas for the freezer. I can whip these out. And the great thing about the sauce too is, make sure everyone's a little bit more even than that. Look, this one's only got a tiny bit in it. The great thing about this sauce too is that it adds so much flavor that if you didn't have meat, if you were saving money by not buying your beef mince and things, you have got your flavors in here. Cook this through with some pasta and a little bit of Parmesan cheese or your favorite cheese on top, a few basil leaves, and you've got a beautiful meal that just feels so joyful to eat. And of course, I'm just going to grab my spatula and we're going to get the last of it out so that nothing is wasted. And it is just a really beautiful, creamy sauce. And because we're finished, I can go ahead and taste more of it. And my face just lights up when I eat it because it is that good. We love it. So like I said, these are just going to go into my freezer, some into my fridge because we're doing pizzas this weekend. All sorts of different things are happening. You can add your own herbs. I love it when you tell me in the comments how you would make this your own. What kind of herbs would you add? How would you change it up? That makes me so excited to read your comments. So thank you, my friend, for joining me. I absolutely love it when you do. When you join me again, we are doing lots of preserving of vegetables. We've got some nice ways of saving money on meat coming up. I can't wait to see you then.